Your body holds the code for a lucid dream, and it can be activated right now. While most people believe you need to be deeply asleep to start dreaming, there's a secret that goes against everything you were taught. Some dreams begin with your eyes open, and unlike what many imagine, these dreams aren't metaphors or vague mental states. They are real, lucid, and accessible experiences, born from a quiet and rarely explored place, your own body. Picture this: vivid images, symbolic messages, and a sense of spiritual expansion, not during distant retreats or under the influence of substances, but through a nearly imperceptible touch on a specific point of your body. The curious thing is, this point isn't in your head, nor in your heart. It's farther down, much closer than you think. If you feel like something inside you is waiting to emerge, a blocked intuition, a vision yet to be revealed, a potential that's never been fully accessed, this video will show you why that hasn't happened yet, and how it can start happening now. You don't have to be a therapist, or a specialist, or a mystic to experience what some call active inner vision. You just need to understand a hidden mechanism, forgotten by most, but confirmed by those who dare to go beyond the obvious. Something that begins with a gentle touch and ends with a new perception of who you are. There is an invisible line that connects the top of your skull to the base of your spine. This line is not just anatomical, it is energetic, vibrational, and spiritual. Along it flows a quiet current that, when unblocked, transforms the body into a temple of revelations. This axis, often overlooked by conventional practices, is the backbone of altered states of perception, and its activation begins in an unexpected place, the sacrum. In Hermetic tradition, it was taught that the body is sacred architecture, and that by understanding its inner gateways, a person comes closer to the divine. Hermes Trismegistus spoke of the hidden power in the ends of the spiral, a precise metaphor for what science is only beginning to recognize as the craniosacral axis. But while science is still taking its first steps, some ancient practices already knew it is through subtle touch, deep listening, and slowing down that the invisible channels begin to open. What you'll discover in this video is that there is a point in your body directly connected to your consciousness, capable of activating inner visions with images, messages, and perceptions that are not imagined, but rather deep records from your psychic field. When stimulated, this point triggers a unique neurophysiological response. Brainwaves slow down. The vagus nerve is activated. Pleasure-related neurotransmitters are released, and the portal to lucid dreaming while awake opens. This is not some miraculous technique or mystical fantasy. It is a natural process that occurs when you align with the subtle language of your own body. A conscious touch on the sacrum is more than a physical stimulus. It is a key turning a vibrational lock. And when that lock opens, you enter a different state of being. You don't imagine, you experience. You don't guess, you see. Staying until the end of this video is more than a choice. It is an act of activation, because the wisdom that will be revealed here can literally change the way you sleep, dream, and awaken. Not all knowledge was written in books. Some truths were encoded in the human body itself, like living inscriptions waiting for the right moment to be read. This is exactly what the ancient Hermetic masters revealed, the body as a grimoire of mysteries. Every bone, every heartbeat, a hidden key. Among those keys, the sacrum was seen as a seal, a vessel of what they called the memory of creation. Hermes Trismegistus, whose wisdom influenced alchemists, mystics, and scientists for centuries, described 7 seals of the body, and the last, the most subtle, was located at the base of the spine. There, it was said, rested a dormant energy, a sleeping consciousness that, when touched the right way, would release visions, symbols, and revelations, not as poetic metaphors, but as direct experiences of the soul in expansion. In esoteric schools of Egypt, Chaldea, and India, this region was used in rituals of inner transmutation. It wasn't about blind faith, but about method. The initiates knew that by inducing deep states of relaxation through the sacral axis, the body would begin to emit signals that allowed the mind to cross the veil of the ordinary. The result: vivid dreams, inner contact, insights about the past, and glimpses of what is yet to come. These traditions all point to the same principle. The body is the first and last spiritual technology, and conscious touch is the gesture that activates its source code. In the Book of Secrets, Thoth referred to this touch as the divine gesture that awakens the eyes of the soul. It was a language beyond words, where silence opened pathways that speech could never reach. Today, much of this ancient knowledge has been buried under the weight of extreme rationality. But it hasn't disappeared. It's still alive, embedded in practices like craniosacral therapy, which brings back, in new forms, the same forgotten wisdom. The idea that the body knows how to dream while awake, and the right touch is the invitation for it to remember. In modern neuroscience, there's a growing interest in how the body influences deep mental states, not just through brain activity, but through the interaction between the brain, peripheral nerves, and subtle structures like fascia and cerebrospinal fluid. A clear example is the study of the craniosacral axis, an anatomical and functional connection between the skull, spinal cord, and sacrum, directly involved in regulating the autonomic nervous system. Studies using electroencephalography, or IG, have shown that gentle stimulation at the base of the spine can alter brain activity, increasing the presence of alpha and theta waves, which are associated with deep relaxation, active imagination, and access to the subconscious. This pattern is the same observed in lucid dreaming and advanced meditation sessions. In addition, stimulation of the vagus nerve, which runs through the craniosacral axis, has been clinically explored for its effects on reducing anxiety, increasing neuroplasticity, and even inducing expanded states of awareness. Science already recognizes that the body sends more signals to the brain than the other way around, and that changes everything. It means that by touching or releasing certain areas of the body, you can directly influence your state of consciousness. Craniosacral therapy, once dismissed as pseudoscience, is now being studied in integrative centers for its direct impact on balancing the parasympathetic system, the part responsible for inducing the state where spontaneous visionary experiences become possible. What the ancients called inner awakening is now described with terms like neuroperceptive activation and non-volitional autonomic response. The bridge has been built. What was once hidden is now being measured, and the deeper science explores, the more it confirms what the ancients already knew. The body is a vessel for mystical perception, as long as you know how to access it. Everything begins with listening, but not the listening of voices or thoughts, rather, listening to your body vibrating in silence. The first step is to slow down, to lower the external noise, but more importantly, the internal one. To do this, find a quiet space where you can lie down or sit comfortably, keeping your spine upright, but without tension. Close your eyes. Now, bring your attention to the base of your spine, exactly where the sacrum is located. Don't force anything, just observe, feel. This conscious observation is what opens the first portal. When the body realizes it is being listened to, it activates its internal self-regulation circuits. This is the point where the transition begins, from the ordinary waking state to the threshold of lucid dreaming. To support this shift, connect your breath to the sacral region. Inhale while imagining a golden light touching the base of your spine. Exhale as you visualize that light spiraling upward. Do this for 5 full cycles. Slowly, by the 3rd breath, you will likely feel a gentle warmth, a subtle tingling, or perhaps an internal expansion. This is not your imagination, it is your body's neuroquantum field responding to the presence of your awareness. Most people overlook these signals, but here you will follow them. The next step is the touch. Using your fingers, apply gentle pressure on the sacrum as light as the weight of a petal. This isn't about massaging or manipulating, but about signaling. The touch should last at least 1 full minute in complete silence, with your focus entirely on the contact. You are sending a message to your system. It is safe to let go. It is allowed to dream. This gesture activates the parasympathetic circuit, reducing mental alertness and allowing memories, images, and symbols to begin surfacing from the unconscious. When that happens, just observe. The waking dream is drawing near. With the touch established, the inner field begins to reorganize. This is the moment to enter the 2nd layer of the process, symbolic receptivity. After the minute of touch on the sacrum, remain still and in a state of deep listening. Your focus now is on the inside of your closed eyelids, as if watching a dark screen where little by little shapes, colors, or subtle movements may begin to appear. Do not try to control anything. Just allow. This flow is the symbolic language of your vibrational unconscious expressing itself. It does not speak with words, but with archetypes, figures, sensations, and inner landscapes that carry messages from your essence. It is the same principle behind the visions of the ancient oracles, only now the oracle is you. Science refers to this stage as the hypnagogic state, a transition between wakefulness and dreaming, where the brain emits theta waves and the symbolic mind comes online. If images arise, do not judge them. If emotions appear, breathe into them. If nothing comes, simply stay present. The very act of holding the space is already reshaping your internal field. Remember, the goal is not to produce visions, but to access the portal of spontaneous lucidity, and that requires sacred patience. After a few minutes in this state, begin a cycle of 3 silent questions, asked from within to within. Question 1. What does my body want to reveal to me right now? Question 2. What image needs to emerge for my healing? Question 3. What part of me is ready to awaken? Do not expect immediate answers. They may come through sensations, inner phrases, memories, or even later dreams. What matters is letting the question resonate within your energy field. When you hold that silence without expectation, something subtle begins to reorganize from within, and that is when true integration can begin. From this point on, everything you accessed needs to be translated into living presence, because it is not enough to touch the invisible. You must embody it. Allow it to become part of your active vibration. This is the role of vibrational grounding, turning the fleeting into rootedness, turning vision into steady wisdom. The first action is conscious writing. As soon as the practice ends, record what came up: symbols, words, sensations, even emptiness. Write without the need to understand, simply to solidify the frequency. This writing is the vibrational testimony of the experience, an energetic seal that prevents the dispersion of what was accessed. Then, look at what you wrote and highlight one expression, one drawing, or one word that best captures what moved you most. That will be your crossing mantra, an anchor you can call upon whenever you want to return to the expanded state. Repeat it softly 3 times, as if sealing a silent pact with your awakened awareness. Now, surrender to rest. Lie down, hands on your belly, eyes closed. Breathe gently and allow everything to settle. No effort, no expectations. It is in this rest that the body integrates, the field realigns, and the vision stabilizes. When you repeat this cycle, listening, touch, reception, questioning, writing, anchoring, you begin to sculpt a real bridge within yourself between the visible and the invisible. And that bridge is alive. Each time you cross it, there is less doubt about who you are. Lucid dreaming then stops being a random phenomenon. It becomes a choice, a natural state, activitable, yours. Wyatt wasn't looking for answers. He had already given up on them. After years immersed in techniques, gurus, and formulas for expansion, he realized that none of them answered the only question that truly mattered. Why, despite knowing so much, did he still feel absent within himself? That night, there were no candles, no mantras, no ceremony, just thick silence and a body lying on a regular table. The therapist lightly touched the base of his sacrum, and for a moment it all felt ridiculous. How could something so subtle move what nothing else had? But it was in that exact instant, in that silent doubt, that something unexpected happened. Time lost its structure. Wyatt didn't fall asleep, but he wasn't fully awake either. It was like being between worlds. He felt a gentle pressure rising up his spine, not physical, but like a warm current moving through his bones. And then the scene came. An open field, tall grass, the sound of the wind. A boy with his back turned, standing still, staring at the horizon. Wyatt didn't recognize the place, but he knew that loneliness. The boy turned his face, and it was him, but with eyes he no longer remembered having. Eyes that saw with confidence what he, as an adult, had forgotten, that the sacred does not come through effort. It simply reveals itself when the mind finally goes quiet. Wyatt wanted to speak, but there was no need. It was enough to feel. And in that light touch on the sacrum, he realized something no external voice had ever told him. His body knew the way. When he returned, words felt distant, but his clarity was crystal clear. The open field still pulsed within him. It wasn't a dream, nor a vision in the conventional sense. It was a rediscovered memory, something that had always been there, but only emerged when the body was truly heard. Since then, Wyatt no longer seeks miraculous techniques. He has learned to listen to what pulses behind the silence. He discovered that there are touches that do not reach the skin, but open portals, and that the deepest awakenings do not arrive with explosions. They come as a whisper that crosses centuries and brings us back to ourselves. Perhaps the greatest obstacle you will face in applying this practice is not the technique itself, but the silent doubt that whispers, "What if nothing happens?" That expectation of instant results is the most subtle trap on the path, because you were trained to measure everything with your eyes, when the true movements of the spirit happen in the invisible. This block is not technical, it is vibrational. It is born from the need for control, the urgency for answers, the anxiety to prove something is working. But in this work, the more you force, the more the portal closes. The body does not respond to pressure, it responds to surrender. That is why transmutation begins with a shift in frequency, replacing demand with internal permission. It is not about waiting for something to happen, but about holding the space as if the process were already underway, because it is. Even when there are no visions, there is reconfiguration. Even when there are no symbols, there is release. Silence is also a language, and your presence in itself is the invitation. If resistance arises, return to the essential gesture, breathing into the sacrum. Light touch, open mind, available heart. Repeat, I do not demand, I receive. That is the code. That is the unlocking. That is how the portal remains accessible, not because you forced it open, but because you stopped trying to break it down. You do not need a sacred temple to awaken, nor gurus, nor ready-made answers. The only real requirement is the courage to listen to what has long tried to emerge within your own body. Throughout this video, you have not just learned a practice. You have accessed a forgotten language, the language of silent touch, of inner vision, of wisdom pulsing beneath your skin. What was revealed here is not a method, it is a memory, a call to return, because what you seek is not out of reach. It is encoded in your bones, in your inner rhythm, in the stillness you've been avoiding out of fear of finding nothing. But now you know the void is fertile, and within it, something ancient is always waiting for your permission. Every time you lie down in silence, apply the touch with presence and breathe with intention, you are rewriting your very field of perception. And the more you do this, the clearer the messages become. The smoother the revelations, the more intimate the connection with something greater than you, yet also part of you. The beauty of this path is that it doesn't require belief. It only requires surrender. And what you gain is not more control, it is more truth. A truth that cannot be explained, only felt. A clarity that does not come from the mind, but from vibrational presence. As Carl Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Now you have the key, and more than that, you have the choice. May you never again accept living with your eyes closed when the portal to see was, all along, within you. If this content sparked something within you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications that way. You help us spread this frequency to others who also need to awaken. I invite you to seal this journey in the comments with the phrase, I activate the lucid dream that lives in my awakened body. This affirmation is not just symbolic, it resonates, anchors, and declares your openness to a new way of listening. Share this video with someone who feels disconnected, but deep down just needs to remember where their inner key is, and continue the journey. Click the screen now and dive into another transformative video on the Transcend channel. Because every time you consciously access the invisible, the visible world begins to bend to your frequency.